Hi everyone, Weis Dietitian Taylor here. Thank you so much for joining me. Last month we talked about the truth about sugar, how to satisfy your child's sweet tooth. That was our theme for April. Going into May, our theme is going to be fighting inflammation and foods that may help. And so this week we're going to talk a little bit about inflammation and different foods that may help reduce it. And then in the following weeks throughout May, we're going to post some recipe ideas incorporating those foods. So let's go ahead and jump right in. And so our objectives for this month are going to be to better understand what inflammation is and its effect on the body, to learn about foods that may help fight inflammation, and to provide some inspiration on how to incorporate these foods into you and your child's diet. So what is inflammation? So very simply put, inflammation is your body's response to an irritant or injury. It is a part of the response from the immune system. And it's to protect the body. So it is a normal response that causes injured tissue to heal. And so it starts off with an injury, for example, such as a splinter in your finger. And that damaged tissue releases chemicals that start the inflammatory response. And so then white blood cells make substances that cause cells to divide and grow, and which ultimately causes the tissue to rebuild and repair. And so once the wound is healed, the inflammatory process ends. However, sometimes inflammation doesn't end, and this is called chronic inflammation. The reason it starts isn't always known, and chronic inflammation over time can actually be damaging to the body. When it comes to cancer and inflammation, it's important to note that chronic inflammation over time can damage DNA, and that ultimately can lead to cancer, but also that having cancer can cause inflammation in the body. So let's look at some controllable lifestyle factors for inflammation. So each of these topics, so when it comes to inflammation, there are certain things that you can increase, that can increase inflammation that we can control. And so alcohol and tobacco use can increase inflammation, as can obesity, so maintaining or obtaining a healthy weight is ideal. Stress can also cause inflammation, so it's good to try to figure out ways to kind of cope with daily stresses. Physical inactivity can reduce inflammation. Physical activity can reduce inflammation. Physical inactivity could increase that. But physical activity actually has other beneficial effects. So beyond the ability to reduce inflammation, it can also promote the healthy weight that we are mentioning here, and it can also may even offer a boost in your mood and a stress reduction tool as well. So lastly here we have a healthy diet, which can also help decrease inflammation. So let's take a closer look at that aspect. Naturally, the first group that has anti-inflammatory properties is fruits and vegetables. And so fruits and vegetables are rich in anti-inflammatory components called phytonutrients. So you always want to try to eat the rainbow when you're eating your fruits and vegetables, and include a variety of those. And then also fresh and frozen fruits and vegetables are going to be great options. So here we have a couple of superstar fruits and vegetables. So legumes are beans, peas, and lentils. These offer fiber, vitamins, and minerals, and plant-based protein. So they add bulk to meals, and they're also a great way to incorporate protein into a vegetarian meal. For leafy greens, think about spinach and kale. These have been shown to curb inflammation, as have broccoli and cabbage. The pigment found in berries like blueberries, raspberries, blackberries may offer an anti-inflammatory effect as well. And then the last one here, garlic, has been shown to offer anti-inflammatory properties. So this is not an all-inclusive list, and it's rather a highlight of some potential benefits from the specific foods. So when it comes to fruits and vegetables and reducing inflammation, the more the merrier. Next up, we're going to talk about omega-3s. So omega-3s are a type of healthy fat that have been associated with reducing inflammation by slowing the release of certain chemicals during inflammation. So food sources of omega-3s are listed for you here: salmon, ground flaxseed, and I put ground flaxseed Specifically, the whole flax seeds are harder to digest, so you get more of the benefits from using the ground flaxseed. Flaxseed oil, canola oil, walnuts, chia seeds, and soy foods are all going to be sources of omega-3s. So in the previous slide, we looked at foods that all had a specific type of fat. That, of course, was omega-3s. And that has specifically been associated with reducing inflammation. But here we have a couple of other fat sources that are part of a healthy diet that have their own benefits as well. So extra virgin olive oil is the first one on the list here. So extra virgin olive oil has compounds that may help reduce inflammation, and it's a major staple in the Mediterranean diet, which is associated with less inflammation compared to our Western diet. Avocados, nuts, seeds, all of these are going to be healthy sources of fats. All right, and our last slide here, so whole grains. So whole grains tend to be higher in fiber, and fiber may also be linked to reducing inflammation. And so you want to aim for whole grain breads, whole grain pastas, whole grain tortillas, and then other whole grains such as quinoa, brown rice, farro, and oats as often as possible. And so the best way to know if the bread that you're using or the pasta that you're using is going to be a whole grain is to look at the ingredients list. And you want that first ingredient to be either whole grain flour or whole wheat flour. They're used interchangeably most of the time. And that's how you know you're on the right track with choosing a whole grain. Other products that only have one ingredient, such as the quinoa mentioned here, the farro, the brown rice, the oats, are just going to have that one ingredient. But anything that's made with a flour, you definitely want to check that ingredients label. And so now that we know what foods may reduce inflammation, we need to know delicious ways to incorporate them into our diets and recipes. So join us every week in May for recipe inspiration using these foods. And thanks for watching. See you next time.